Yo, yo, yo. Good morning, folks. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at in the world. This is Tyrus Bain. Welcome to the Definition of Anarchy. Man. So, there's some news coming out of Michigan about a piece of legislation that was introduced by a legislator that would seek to have the state protect the people's rights to keep and bear arms within that state. Right? It would eliminate laws that go against the Second Amendment. It would protect people from the federal government trying to come in and restrict people's rights to keep and bear arms. They're basically making themselves a sanctuary state. All right, making themselves a sanctuary state where they're just basically outlining that, look, we shall not infringe on the rights of the people to keep and bear arms. Basically what they're saying. And we shall not allow the federal government to come in and do the same. We will not enforce any laws laid out by the government going against the Second Amendment. Okay? Going against our rights to keep and bear arms. But here's the problem. There is another legislator or a so-called representative from that state. Her name is Erica Geis, who had some choice words to say about that piece of legislation. She basically said it was an insurrectionist piece of legislation. So basically, you're writing words of an insurrectionist because you're saying that you want to protect people's rights to keep and bear arms as a legislator. Now, let me ask y'all, how is going through the proper protocols, right, as far as this corrupt system is concerned, going through the proper protocols to create laws that will protect someone's rights? How is that insurrectionist? Okay, in order to be an insurrectionist or to have an insurrection, you have to actually attack the government, right? You have to, like, your goal is to topple a government, to attack the government, to cause harm to the government. And let me ask y'all another question. Since when were all insurrections a bad thing? Are insurrections a bad thing? If you have a tyrannical government that is constantly working to strip you of your rights, piece by piece, little by little, freedom of speech, freedom of privacy, freedom to keep and bear arms. If there was an insurrection against the government in a novel, right, in a fictional book, let's say that's in a book, there was an insurrection that overthrew the government that was tyrannical to the people, whether most of the people knew it or not. How is that a bad thing? So there's always a negative connotation in regards to insurrections, right? Now, if you ask the government, let's say in particular, let's say you ask Obama or Hillary Clinton if the insurrection against Gaddafi was a bad thing, what would they tell you? Because they'll tell you that he was a dictator, a tyrant that treated the people like shit. They'll tell you that, right? Because we're not there. We can't go out there and actually see what was going on. But when there was an insurrection against Gaddafi's government, do you think they thought it was a bad thing? Anyway, no, it's not an insurrection. Introducing a bill that will protect people's rights to keep and bear arms is not an insurrection, okay? And then she went on to talk about how back in February of 2020, you remember when the people went to the Capitol in Michigan, and they were in the mezzanine with their firearms, which was legal. It was legal, right? You could have your firearms in the Capitol grounds. You can open carry. That's what they did. They didn't yell. They didn't scream. They didn't shoot nobody up. They didn't cause any violence, right? They just were there to ensure that their rights were protected, okay? And so she cited that as a reason to call this an insurrection. That wasn't an insurrection either. You see what they're doing? This is what I warned about, okay? I warned about this type of shit back when the insurrection happened and when they were talking about Trump was incited the insurrection, right? This is what they're going to do. Every time someone talks about protecting their rights to keep and bear arms, every time someone moves to ensure that happens, they want to call that terrorism. They want to call that insurrectionism or insurrection when it's not. The dude that put this legislation, that introduced this bill, is not he's not causing an insurrection. He's not insurrecting anything, or whatever the fuck however you call that. There's no insurrection occurring. He's putting a bill forth to be voted on into law. How is that insurrection? You see how these people think? They want you to think that you're a terrorist, you're a bad person, because you want to protect your rights. You're evil. You're a domestic terrorist now, right? This is the problem we're having in this country with these people that we call representing us, right? They don't represent us. They represent their own interest. They represent the interest of the special interest and the lobbyists who push and peddle for the special interest groups to get their way. That's how it works. That's how this government is ran, right? The banks and the special interest groups, the corporations that put up billions and billions of dollars every year to make sure legislation goes their way. And these corporations have designs on controlling all the resources in this country. Okay? They have designs on controlling all the resources in this country and in the world. The bankers, they want to spread their one world bank everywhere, right? Their central bank, they want the central banking system to be controlled by them all over the world. That's why we're having a problem with Iran right now. You really want to know why we have a problem with Iran? It's because of that. They're not part of the central banking system. You want to know why we had a problem with Iraq? Central banking system, oil, and all this other shit. You want to know why we had a problem with Muammar Gaddafi? Because he wanted to make the gold dinar the standard currency for all of Africa in the African Union. He was trying to form an African Union where they use gold dinar, actual gold, that would cut their ties from the dollar, which would collapse the shit out of it. That's why the insurrection against Gaddafi occurred. The coup, right? The overthrow by the rebels that the United States government got all riled up. So, this is what happened, and this is why it happened. Don't let these people fool you. They don't care about your safety. They want to plant in your mind that, oh, if you talk about protecting your rights, you're a conspiracy theory. Oh, if you talk about the tyrannical government, you're a conspiracy theorist. Oh, if you talk about protecting your rights to keep and bear arms, you're a conspiracy theorist. It couldn't be further from the truth. Understand, this Erica Geist person, she's just speaking for everybody, right? That have designs on restricting us from our freedoms. Okay, I talked about this. I talked about how they were going to use this insurrection, the so-called insurrection, on the 6th of January to push legislation, right? To push rhetoric that you're a bad person if you want to live in your freedoms. This is bad, y'all.
You have arrived at your destination.
This is how they think,
route guidance is
and this is how they want you to think. They want you to be in fear of your fellow man, your fellow human beings that want nothing more than to be free. That's what they want. That's what they want. And the more you buy into this fear that they're peddling, the more likely you are to fall victim to the tyranny. All right? So anyway, like, share, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Am I making sense, or am I just being paranoid? Or is she being paranoid? You know what I'm saying? This Erica Geist woman who believes that you're an insurrectionist if you fucking try to protect your rights, or try to push through legislation to protect your rights. Absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, let me know. Like, share, subscribe. Holla at y'all later. Much love. Peace out.